My cheesecake pie recipe is easy and delicious. With plenty of cream cheese and a bit of sour cream, this dessert has all the flavor of New York style cheesecake without the hassle of a water bath. Let's go over the ingredients. For a 9-inch pie, you will need 2 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese, a quarter cup of sour cream, 60 grams, 1 cup of white sugar, as I measure 210 grams, a teaspoon of vanilla, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, and 2 large eggs. I'm using a homemade graham cracker crust, but you can use a store-bought one. Whichever one you choose, I highly recommend sprinkling in an extra half teaspoon of cinnamon into the crust before you pour in the filling. It's really going to take this dessert to the next level. Like I said, this is really simple to make. All we have to do is mix everything for the filling together, then pour the filling into the graham cracker crust, and then bake. So all I'm going to do is just add everything to this bowl. Really, the most important part of this recipe is making sure that everything is the same temperature, because you don't want to curdle the cream cheese or sour cream. So make sure everything is taken out of the refrigerator ahead of time. Although you could mix this by hand, I'm going to use my handheld electric mixer. As you can see, everything is mixed together now. At first, it looked kind of lumpy, but I just kept mixing it, and as you can see, it's pretty smooth. But before I pour in my filling, I'm going to take my cinnamon and just sprinkle it into the crust here. Honestly, you could probably do this at the beginning just so that you don't forget, because you don't want to pour in your filling and then realize, oh, I forgot the cinnamon. Now I'm just going to pour in the filling and then smooth it out as much as possible. As you can see, I put the pie on a pizza pan. That is to make it easier to take in and out of the oven. Not necessary, but I highly recommend you put your pie on a cookie sheet, or in my case, a pizza pan. It's going to make it a lot easier to take in and out of the oven. And now that the filling is smoothed out, it's time to put my pie into the oven. At 350 degrees Fahrenheit, uncovered. I'll let you know for how long. I just pulled my cheesecake pie out of the oven. It was in at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, uncovered, for 45 minutes. 4-5. It looks and smells incredible. As you can see, this pie turned out great. It was perfectly golden brown around the edge, and it had a sweet, tangy aroma that definitely made me want to dig in as soon as possible. After letting it cool down, I put it in the refrigerator to chill overnight, and then the next day, I gave it a try. When I cut the first slice and took the first bite, I knew that my cheesecake pie recipe was a big success because it was absolutely delicious. First off, the flavor. This pie definitely tasted like cheesecake because it had that sweet tanginess with hints of vanilla that everyone knows and loves. Together with the extra cinnamon that I sprinkled into the crust before pouring into the filling, this pie definitely wasn't lacking any flavor. Although it definitely did taste like cheesecake, I think the texture is what made it different. Instead of that thick, rich creaminess that everyone knows and loves from cheesecake, this pie was more custardy. It had a lightness and a fluffiness to it that I wasn't expecting, probably because of the greater egg to cream cheese ratio. Don't get me wrong, the filling still had a creaminess to it, just not as much as a normal cheesecake. And because I made my cheesecake pie in a pie pan and not a spring form pan, the filling layer was a lot thinner than in a normal cheesecake. This made the graham cracker crust a more important part of the overall dessert, the cinnamon flavor and crunchy texture being present in each and every bite. Speaking of the crust, once again, my homemade graham cracker crust really shined in this recipe. It had a butteriness to it that was absolutely delicious, and because I added that extra bit of cinnamon before pouring in the filling, it was extremely flavorful. And now that I'm holding the first slice up to the camera, you can see all the different textures. You can see the creamy yet fluffy filling, the crunchy, crispy graham cracker crust. Everything just came together in perfect harmony. Although I thought my old-fashioned cheesecake pie recipe turned out great, there are a couple things I wanted to point out. The most important thing is making sure that all of the ingredients for the cheesecake filling are at the same temperature before you start. So remember to take the cream cheese, sour cream, and eggs out of the refrigerator so that they have time to warm up before you start. This is absolutely critical because if you do not, and one ingredient is colder than the others, when you start mixing them together, your cream cheese is going to curdle. It's going to look kind of like cottage cheese. It's not going to be unsafe to eat, but it's not going to be pleasant. It's going to have a really odd texture. So, like I said, make sure everything is room temperature before you start. That's really the only key thing you have to keep in mind. Other than that, I think this recipe is super easy. It's a great alternative if you like cheesecake, but you're looking for something a little bit lighter. Although it's great plain, you could take inspiration from Argentinian desserts and serve this mixto with dulce de leche and whipped cream on the side. Honestly, I thought this was great plain, but like I said, if you want to do something different, you could take inspiration from Argentinian flan and other desserts. In short, I really liked how this old-fashioned cheesecake pie in a pie pan with graham cracker crust turned out. It has all the amazing flavor of normal cheesecake and then some, but without the hassle of a water bath. The only thing to really keep in mind about this dessert is that the texture is not as thick, rich, and creamy as a normal cheesecake, so if that's what you want, this isn't for you. But if you're open-minded, you want to try something new, this is definitely a great dessert for a holiday like Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, a Sunday dinner, or just because. If you make it, I know you'll like it. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.